Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Alana Vega, and I'm the Kids Count Coordinator at Advocates for Children of New Jersey. We're thrilled to have you all with us, and we're really looking forward to hearing a reading of We Count, a 2020 Census counting book, with our special guest, Diane Davis. Diane has established herself as one of the most exciting and daring actresses working in the New York theater scene and beyond. She currently is starring as Ginny Potter in the acclaimed Broadway production of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. In addition to this, Diane has appeared in numerous other Broadway and off-Broadway productions. She was nominated for both a Lucille Lortel and a Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Actress in a Play for her portrayal of Debbie in The Model Apartment. Her work in Nice Girl was designated by the New York Times as one of the stage's best moments of 2015. Her television credits include Elementary, Person of Interest, Blue Bloods, Power, Michael and Michael Have Issues, Fringe, Without a Trace, and Law & Order. She has an MFA from the Graduate Acting Program at NYU. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Diane Davis. Thank you, Diane.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction. I also was, when you're an actor, when you're working between jobs, when you're younger and you're struggling, you take jobs in between. A lot of people work in restaurants, and one of my most favorite jobs that I ever had, in between theater jobs, was that I worked for the United States Census, and I was what's called a census enumerator. And I was the person, if you didn't fill out your census form and mail it in, or in this year, do it online, I would come to the door and knock, and I had questions to ask, just friendly questions about who lived there, and I really loved this job for so many reasons. I loved it because I love walking around, and I love people. I love talking to people, and I love so I was just so thrilled to be approached and asked to read this book, We Count. And it's a census book explaining the census to kids, because the census is very, 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 very important. I'm also the mom of 3 kids, and I counted all my kids on the census. So here we go. So this book is called We Count. Who counts in America? Every 10 years, we answer that question by counting each and every person who lives in this country. It's called the census, and the next one starts in March of 2020. In the last census, many families forgot to count their babies and young children. So here's a book to help everyone learn to count. Young and old, we all count. I am Miss Faith. I am number 1 where I live. Young and old, we all count. How many people live with you? In this book, my friends and I will help everyone, young and old, learn to count in the 2020 census. Who should count in the 2020 census? This book has answers to who counts for all kinds of families. No 2 families are the same. But everyone must count each and every person, young and old, that lives in his or her household on April 1st, 2020. What is a household? That's a good question. To the census, a household is the people that live at the same address. There are many different kinds of households. In this book, you will meet families who live in a house, an apartment, or a mobile home. Some people live in households with only their relatives, and some people live in households with many different people. So let's learn together how to count all of these households. and you can figure out for yourself, what's your household? Who lives there? My name is Katya. We are 1, 2, where I live. Young and old, we all count. Katya lives with her mother most of the time, but when her mom works late, Katya stays overnight with her grandma or with an aunt. So who should count on the census? Her mother puts Katya on the census because Katya stays most nights with her mother. Children should be counted where they sleep most of the time. Some kids sleep at different places, so it may not be clear where they spend most nights. In that case, count the child where they slept on April 1st, 2020. My name is James. We are 1, 2, 3, where I live. Young and old, we all count. This is tricky. There are 3 people where James lives, but now there are 4 people in his family. His mother just had a new baby, but the baby's in the hospital. So who should be counted? This is a tricky census count. New babies that are still in the hospital are counted with their family. There are 3 people where James lives, but on the census, there are 4 in the household. James, his parents, and his new baby brother are all counted on the same census. Don't forget, even teeny tiny babies still in the hospital need to be counted in the census. The census is done every 10 years. If James or his baby brother are not counted, then how will his community know what they will need for the next 10 years? If James is not counted, there may not be a seat ready when he starts kindergarten. Child care programs may not have a spot for his baby brother. My name is Sofia. We are 1, 2, 3, 4 where I live. Young and old, we all count. There's Sofia's family. They look nice, don't they? Sofia, her brother Kadir, her mother and her father all live together at the same address. So who should be counted? They are all counted as one household. In the last census, many families forgot to count their young children. So the government did not know about these children. States get money for childcare, schools, and healthcare based on the number of children counted in the census. Our community sure could use this money. Gotta count the kids. My name is Frankie. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 where I live. Count at home with me. Young and old, we all count. Frankie, his brother Tomas, and his sister Nina live with their grandparents, Nono and Nona. But their grandparents live in a building that is only for senior citizens. So if anyone asks, they all pretend that Frankie, Tomas, and Nina are just visiting. So who should be counted? This is tricky, right? Frankie, Tomas, Nina, and their grandparents all count on the census. True answers to the census will help their community. They will not be in trouble for these answers. That's very important to know. On the census, as in life, be true. Don't lie. Why? By law, the census is private, and answers are not shared with anyone, not landlords or police. The information is only used to answer big questions about communities, like how many people live in this city? What are their ages and ethnicities? Questions like this help everyone understand what people and communities need. For example, if the census shows that a neighborhood has many young children, the local government can plan to open another school or change laws or build new housing so children like Frankie, Tomas, and Nina can live without worry in their grandparents' senior housing. My name is Maria. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 where I live. Young and old, we all count. There's Maria. Filling out this census form can be a bit tricky. Sometimes there are as many as 6 people where Maria lives. But Maria's brothers are not living at home right now. Juan lives with his aunt. Carlos is in the army. Rosa is Maria's foster sister and lives in the household now. So who should be counted? You can put in the comments who you think should be counted. We can talk about it after. Only 4 people, Maria, Rosa, her mother, and father, are counted on this census. Children in foster care are counted where they live. So Rosa is counted with Maria's family. Juan is living with his aunt, so he should be counted on his aunt. Family members in the army, like Carlos, will be counted by the military. Anyone living away from home at college, a prison, in a homeless shelter, an elder care facility, or any other such place will be counted there. There they all are. They look nice. My name is Sami. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 where I live. Sami and his sister Aisha live with their parents and grandmother. There they are. Many relatives stay at Sami's house when they first come to live in the United States. Uncle Omar is living with them now, and so is Cousin Joe. Who should be counted? Anyone staying at Sami's house on April 1st, 2020, with no other fixed address should be counted. This includes Sami, his mother, father, grandmother, his sister Aisha, and Cousin Joe, who is here to study. Don't forget Uncle Omar. Even though he is sleeping on the couch until he finds a new place, he is still counted with Sami's family. My name is Frida. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 where I live. Young and old, we all count. Frida lives with her parents, her brother, her grandma, her Aunt Elena, and 2 cousins. They move every spring so Frida's parents and aunt can work. All of Frida's family should be counted where they live on April 1st, 2020. If Frida's family does not get a census invitation with a census ID number, it may have been lost during the move. Frida's family can call the census helpline to find out. The phone number is on the last page of this book. Or they can take the census online without their census ID number. My name is Shanti. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 where I live. Young or old, we all count. Let's learn about Shanti. It's so interesting to learn all the different ways people live. This is why I loved being a census enumerator. It's just so cool. Shanti just came with her mother, father, and favorite doll to live in the United States. Do you think the doll should be counted in the census? Anyone? Put it in the comments. Luckily, another family from their village has turned their garage into a home where Shanti and her parents can live. Shanti and her family live at their own, so who should be counted? Shanti and her family live at their own private place, but they share an address with another family, right? Because they're living in the garage, but it's the garage of another family. So who counts? So they will not receive a letter or invitation in the mail from the Census Bureau with their census ID number. But Shanti's family needs to be counted. Shanti's father can call or go online to complete their census on a non-ID questionnaire form. He will give the location description as a separate unit located at a shared address. My name is Patience. That's a beautiful name. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 where I live. Young and old, we all count. Patience and her mother live in apartment 5G. They do not know some of the people who share 5G with them. Many people come and go. Some are friendly and others are quiet. So who should be counted? Every person living in 5G, young and old, must be counted together on the same census form. Any adult living in 5G can fill out the form and should be sure to include everyone who lives there. Sorry, that was my dog in the background. Even if this is an illegal sublet, it is safe to give the census this information. Only census workers will see this information. They will not and cannot by law share it with the landlord or with housing, immigration, or law enforcement officials. If the form is not filled out, a census worker will come to the apartment to help fill out the form. If you don't want this visit, that would have been me. See, I would have visited. If you don't want this visit, then the form needs to be completed. But if I visited, I wasn't angry. I was like I am now. I was just like, who lives here? So some questions about the census are answered in this book. And then I want to take questions from you if you have any. So if you were going to throw a wedding or invite all your neighbors to a party, what would your first question be? How many people are coming and how much food do we need? That counting of guests is a census, right? So we do censuses all the time for birthday parties and things like that. So how does the census work? In March, every household will get a letter from the United States Census Bureau. This letter is an invitation to take the census. Each letter has a census ID number. You'll use that number to fill out the census form. You may also get a form in the mail to fill out in writing or call to ask for a written census form. You might say to yourself, I don't care how many people live in my community. What does this census thing have to do with me? Well, look at this. I wrote this number down so everyone could see. We all pay taxes, right? I know a lot of you are kids and you don't pay taxes, but your parents pay taxes. I pay taxes. Sometimes it feels like that's all we do. A tax on your paycheck, a tax on things you buy, taxes on things you sell. Some tax money goes to your state, some to your county or city, and some, called federal or national taxes, goes straight to Washington, D.C. All that tax money adds up to about $900 billion. I wrote that number out so everyone could see how big that number is. Right? That's a big number. Don't you want that much money? You think you have no say about where the government spends that money? But you do. The government uses the census numbers so they know how many people live in your community, the ages of the people in your community, what services your community is likely to need, and how much money to send back to your community to pay for those services. So if you take the census and you're counted, then a share of the money that you paid in taxes comes back to your community. And that money pays for all the services that our families need and use. So it's kind of like you get your money if you get counted. I am taking the census to support my family and community. Your children, family, and entire community need you parents to fill out the census and bring that money back home. Census numbers make sure some funds are sent to communities across the U.S. so that Sofia has doctor visits her parents can afford, so that James can get the best childcare when his parents go to work, so Maria's foster care sister has a home with a family who is there for her, and so that Frida can go to a school right down the street and get lunch for not too much money. So that Katya, Frankie, Sami, Shanti, and Patience and their families and all families get the services our government promises to us for paying our taxes, like the fire department, highways, and even garbage collecting. Government services all of us use and need are based on our response to the census. The amount of money a community gets for programs that keep children healthy and strong is only decided by the census numbers. No politics, no deals, just the answer to one question. How many children live in this community? Isn't that interesting? So interesting. The census is not just about money. The census is about democracy. I love democracy. Diane, I love democracy. If you and your family are not counted in the census, then your community will have less power, voice, and representation in your national, state, and local government. So you want your voice to be heard, right? Some states and other government bodies like city councils use the census to divide the number of seats in their state, county, or city legislature. Okay, this is a big question. What I hear about the census and immigration is confusing. People are confused about the questions you will be asked on the census. The census counts how many people are in the country, no matter their age, race, ethnicity, or immigration status. It does not ask you about your citizenship or legal status. It does not ask when or if you came from another country. There is talk in the US right now that suggests that only some families and some voices count. But the United States is stronger when each of us counts. Most of the families in this country came here as immigrants. Some that came 100 years ago were also told that they did not count. Your family and your community matter, and they deserve to be counted. And that is true. Truth, truth. Oh, this is also interesting. How do I trust that my answers will be private? Because privacy is important. Here's how the census protects your privacy. Your census answers are separated from your name and address. The information that connects you to your census answers are locked away. By law, your private information cannot be shared with any person or government agency. It is not shared with the IRS, not the DHS, not the FBI or the CIA or the ICE, all those one-letter things, or even your landlord. Census workers take an oath to keep your answers private. They can go to jail for up to 5 years and pay a $250,000 fine if they break that promise. I took that oath, and they took my fingerprints, I remember. Your census answers without your name or address are added to everyone's answers and used to explain the big picture of your community, city, county, or state. The answers from millions and millions of Americans can then guide decisions for government and business planning. We read that the census will be online. So how will that work? In March, you'll get an invitation in the mail to take the census. This invitation will give you a census ID and tell you how to take the census online at www.2020census.gov. The safest way to take the census online and make sure you are at the right place is to type in the address yourself instead of following a link. And I remember the other day when I filled out my census form, there was also like www.census. There were all these other links. So I made sure I typed in this exact address, www.2020census.gov. I didn't want to get taken to another website somewhere. Don't fall for fraud. The Census Bureau will never ask you for your social security numbers, your bank, your credit card numbers, your money or donations, or anything on behalf of a political party. And if you're not an internet person, the phone number to call and take the census and ask questions is listed in the back of this book. I'll put that number up too. Young and old, we all can. All right. There's that number in case anybody needs it. 844-330-2020. 844-330-2020. You guys, thank you for letting me read that and talk about the census. I love the census. It's important and it's vital.